Good evening, everyone. On behalf of CREDAI MCHI, I would like to welcome all our members to the 38th Annual General Meeting. I hope I request all of us to settle down, prepare ourselves. We have recently organized our change of guard ceremony just last month, and considering the present circumstances, we've managed to organize that as well as this annual general body meeting using our digital platforms. Through the experience of the past 6 months in this pandemic situation, we have now attuned ourselves to adopt despite being apart. I request all panelists and viewers especially to go on mute as we ready ourselves to commence the program shortly. We now request the members and everyone else to stand for the national anthem, which will be played right away.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा
तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे
गाये तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. I would like to call upon our Honorable Secretary, Shri Ji, to open the proceedings of this meeting.
Thank you, Ricardo. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the 38th Annual General Meeting. It's my proud privilege to be hosting this AGM this evening. 38 years back, a great association has been started. We'll start with the proceedings of the AGM right away. I will ask the Secretary to put up the minutes of the 37th Annual General Meeting, which have been circulated to all of you, and all the suggestions have been taken on board. I will also request someone to propose the 37th Annual General Meeting minutes, and I will ask someone to even second it.
I propose.
I will second it. Pritam bhai.
Yes, so Bandish Ajmera ji for proposing and Pratik Patel is seconding it. This is something which we have circulated to all of you on email. Please take the time out to go through all the pages. They have been painstakingly made by our secretariat team. This has been the hard work that has gone through the whole of last year. A lot of things which have been covered in the COG, so we are not taking the time of our members again to go through all of that in detail. But if you have any other questions or suggestions, we'll be happy to hear from you on the secretariat email ID. This is an 84-page document which has been given. It covers all the activities that has been done by your chambers in the last 12 months. Yes, so if we are done with the first item on the agenda, the minutes of the last AGM have been now proposed and seconded. I call upon immediate past Secretary Shri Bandish Ajmera to come on and take the next round of proceedings.
Good evening, friends. I, Bandish Ajmera, past Secretary, hereby set out the agenda number 4 to approve the audited statement of accounts for the year ended as on 31st March 2020, along with the audited report thereon, which has been circulated to all the members. Since no queries has been received, I request someone to propose.
I propose.
And second, please.
Harish
Mukesh
Patel,
Patel.
And Mukesh Patel ji is seconding it. Thank you, Bandish Bhai. We are done with agenda number 4, which is to receive and adopt the auditor's report and audited statement of accounts for the year ended 31st March 2020. Now to move on to item number 5, to consider and adopt the CREDAI MCHI report for the year 1920. The AGM booklet has everything in detail. We are not going through it because we have already gone through it in the COG. A detailed video presentation of about 9 minutes was given. We'd like someone to propose adoption of the MCHI report for 1920. They just like to be on mute. Thank you.
I propose.
I second.
Secretariat, please take note. There is a member saying the AGM booklet not received. The next item on agenda number 6 is item number 5 is covered, proposed and seconded. Tejas Vyas.
Yes, Tejas Vyas has proposed and Rajesh Prajapati has seconded.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 6, to appoint auditor J.H. and Company for the year 2021 and fix the remuneration of rupees 50,000.
I propose it.
Munish Doshi proposal and seconded by
I second it.
Deepak Gundecha seconds it. Now we're done with item number 6. Moving on to item number 7. I'd like to call upon past President Shri Mayur Shah, who was the returning officer for the elections, to announce the results of the election.
Good evening, friends. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So, dear members, I am Mayur Shah, returning officer for the election of the managing committee. Would like to inform you about the managing committee, the nomination procedure and announcement of the results for the managing committee for the year 2021, 21-22 and 22-23. So typically we have a 3-year term. The last date for the submission of the nomination forms for the election for the members of the managing committee was received on September 14, 2020. So there were 14 vacancies to be filled in. We have received exactly 14 valid nomination forms. So now I hereby declare 14 members who have been elected unopposed unanimously as members in the managing committee for the above mentioned term. Now I'll read out the name of the members who have been elected. Mr. Sukhraj Nahar was proposed by Mr. Vicky Oswal and seconded by Mr. Amit Shah. Mr. Jayesh Shah, proposed by Mr. Nayan Shah and seconded by Pritam. Mr. Nayan Bheda, proposed by Mr. Munish Doshi and seconded by Dominic Romel. 4th number, Mr. Tejas Vyas, proposed by Mr. Bandish Ajmera and seconded by Munish Doshi. Number 5, Mr. Naveen Makija, proposed by Mr. Vijay Wadhwa, seconded by Mr. Jayesh Shah. 6th number, Mr. Munish Doshi, proposed by Mr. Dominic Romel and seconded by Nayan Bheda. 7th number, Mr. Pratik Patel, proposed by Dominic Romel and seconded by Deepak Gundecha. 8th number, Mr. Dhaval Ajmera, proposed by Bandish Ajmera and seconded by Nayan Shah. 9th number, Mr. Ajay Asher, proposed by Shailesh Puranik, seconded by Dharmesh Jain. 10th number, Mr. Shahid Balwa, proposed by Mr. Vinod Goenka and seconded by Mr. Naveen Makhija. 11th number, Mr. Subodh Runwal, proposed by Mr. Sandeep Runwal and seconded by Mr. Deepak Gorodia. 12th number, Mr. Rajesh Prajapati, proposed by Mr. Sneh Sampat and seconded by Mr. Pritam Chivkula. 13th number, Dr. Harshul Savla, proposed by Mr. Nayan Shah, seconded by Mr. Sunny Vidlani. 14th number, Mr. Gautam Ahuja, proposed by Mr. Naveen Makhija and seconded by Jayesh Shah. The election result hereby I have announced is proposed by, I need one name, Mr. Bandish Ajmera and seconded by
Yes, I can do that.
Shailesh Puranik.
Shailesh Puranik. So I wish very all the best to the elected new managing committee members, and I hope that really continue to do very good work for the chamber and for the benefit of the entire industry. Thanking you one and all.
Thank you, Mayur Bhai. Thank you very much. I'll move on to the next agenda. Actually, I skipped one agenda number. So agenda number 7, we took up agenda number 8. Agenda number 7 is to ratify the key amendments in the memorandum and rules and regulations as approved in the managing committee meeting held on 31st August 2020. The amendment, the first ratification is the amendment in the structure of the managing committee. Can you just show the change? Secretariat? Yeah. Yeah, this page. So we in total had 27 members in the managing committee. We have made a few changes this year. This year we have created a new nomenclature by the senior vice presidents, which was not there. There are 4 senior vice presidents this year, and there are 3 vice presidents this year. We had special projects, which has been added. 6 people in special projects have been added. All these names are there on the in the pages of the AGM report. So, if there are any questions on this, otherwise we'd like to ratify. So, can we pass a resolution? Resolve that the resolution passed by the managing committee in its meeting held on 31st August 2020 for modifying the structure of the managing committee be and hereby approved and ratified.
I propose it.
Proposed by Baman Irani, seconded by
I should.
Harish Patel. We move on to the next ratification. We have an amendment in the structure, appointment of the new managing committee for the year 2020-2021. Satish, is it the same one? Point number 1 and 2, Satish? Okay, I can't hear.
Harish, display the new committee, Harish.
Yeah, it was there earlier, Harish. You.
Yeah, it was taken.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one.
Okay. So resolved that the resolution passed by the erstwhile managing committee for the appointment of the members of the new management committee as listed out in the annexure, as you can see all of you in the screen, be and he is hereby approved and ratified. We have 27 members, as I was explained earlier. The names are here on the screen for all of you to see, headed by President Shri Deepak Gorodia, President-elect Shri Baman Irani, the 4 senior vice presidents Harish Patel, Nainesh Shah, Dominic Romel, Bandish Ajmera. 3 Vice Presidents, Shri Shukraj Nar, Shri Jayesh Shah, Shri Ajay Asher. Honorary Secretary, myself, Preetam Chivukula. Treasurer for the year, Shri Munish Doshi. And the list is also there in the AGM report. Yep. So that is the second ratification that we require. The third and most important ratification that we would also look at is modification and addition of categories of memberships and revision in the membership fees. A committee under Shri Harish Patel was instituted along with the current treasurer Munish Doshi. And given that these are COVID times and we require to help our members and help as many builders to become members and take advantage of being a part of a illustrious chamber like MCHI, we have amended certain fees. We have patron, which is our most premium membership, has been reduced by 1 lakh. This ratification and this approval is only for 1 year. This is where for COVID period we reduced it. So let us all take advantage and include maximum of our friends who are not MCHI members to be our members in this year. We have reduced the patron membership, which is a lifetime membership, by 1 lakh. The corporate has also been reduced by 1 lakh. The elementary, which we used to call it elementary, we are now proposing to call it enterprise membership, which will be for 3 years. It has been reduced by 30,000 rupees. And the most lucrative, where we require people who do not know our association and don't know the benefits of being a part of such a strong association, we are trying to make them members for as little as 60,000 rupees. So last year was 50,000. The only change we made is there are only 1 year membership. So we have tried to keep it. We wanted to increase it further, but we increased it only by 10,000. It is 60,000 rupees now. So these are the changes we have made, which requires the ratification of the general body. And if this is okay by everyone, banks and institutions. Yeah. So the new category, which we have introduced, we require, there's a lot of demand from our banks, financial institutions and NBFCs who felt that there's a lot of value that they will get from being a part of the association that we are, where all of us are there. So we have introduced institutional membership for 7 years for a membership fee of 7 lakhs. And any of our consultants, advocates, architects, interior designers, anyone who wishes to be a part of us, to take advantage of collectively addressing us, selling their services to us, they should also become members, and we should ensure that all of our architects, advocates, whoever we deal with in the year, we should push this membership because your chamber requires funds for various purposes. So if we can ask some of these people who get business from us to take memberships, we will be very happy. This is a 5-year membership, which is called a professional membership, which is available for 4 lakh rupees. Can you scroll down? Right. So we'd like to take this resolution. Yes.
Pritam, this is Ninesh here. My only request is that 50,000, which has been increased to 60,000, if we can keep it 50 only, because just to be in tune with the ready reckoner prices and the 50% premium prices that we are asking to reduce, we should not increase from our side.
Okay, point noted. There is a committee under Harish Bhai which will definitely consider your valid suggestion, and we'll do the right thing. Thank you for your suggestion, Ninesh. So please note suggestion given by Shri Ninesh Shah. Harish Bhai, do you want to respond now, or do you think you will like to take time, because I want to pass the resolution accordingly?
Okay, we'll reduce. There is nothing much. We'll reduce by 10,000. What is that?
President? Okay, Ninesh Bhai, I think...
Thank you, Harish Bhai. I appreciate it.
Yeah, whatever the committee head decide.
Okay, so with that amended change of the entry level being brought down to 50,000, Munish?
I propose it. No?
Yeah. We like
okay with it.
Resolve that the resolution passed by the erstwhile managing committee for appointment of, for passing the revised change of the modifying various categories of membership, additions of new categories of membership, and modifying the fee structure of various categories of membership of CREDAI MCHI as listed in the annexure there under be and here approved, subject to that one change that we have made in the entry category, and be made effective from 25th September 2020, that is today. Is there anything that coming on the chat? Is anyone able to not listen? Abhay Chandak is writing some participants are unable to join. Just check secretariat, please pay attention to that.
You will need name of proposer and seconding for those.
I'll be proposing it.
Yeah.
Pritam?
Yeah.
So I am proposing it. One of the.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Seconded by Dr. Arshul Savla, proposed by Mayur Shah. With that, we come to the end of item number 7. Item number 8, as we have all witnessed, is already over. Now I call upon Naman Shah to come on stage and take the proceedings ahead. Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Thank you, Pritam. We now invite Shri Deepak Garodia, President, who is meticulous, dynamic, and a man of few words and more action to address the members. Over to you, President, sir.
Thank you, Naman. Am I audible?
Yes.
MCHI members, I welcome you all on the 38th Annual General Meeting. I welcome our respected panelists, Mr. Abhishek Lodha, Mr. Vipul Roongta, and Moderator Anuj Puri on our 38th Annual General Meeting. I welcome Managing Committee members and all our senior past president to the AGM. As you are aware, the new Managing Committee took the charge with a change of guard on 31st August. I have shared my vision and mission plan and the key points of agenda in the manifesto, which is even reflected in our booklet, which we have circulated today. The twin goal of our tenure is expecting is a two agenda: reduction of cost, for listed business. As we all know, the charges in the city of Mumbai and MMR, which we pay. Is it audible? My voice?
No, I think there's a break in the voice. Deepak bhai. Deepak bhai, you there?
Switch off your video and try.
No, poor network over there, it seems.
Poor network, yeah. Try connecting through mobile.
Have the panelists joined? Dhaval, have the panelists joined the meeting?
No, they should be here in another 2-3 minutes.
Okay. We're just waiting for Deepak bhai to join back with a better network.
Okay.
Baman, you want to say anything in the meanwhile? By the time we see.
Hey guys, first of all, welcome to this AGM, and we're looking forward to a fantastic session that is going to be hosted by none other than Anuj Puri. And we're going to have two of the doyens of our industry, people to look up to. Vipul Roongta has been someone I have personally dealt with on plenty of occasions, someone who gives very sage advice. Sometimes when he talks, you almost imagine that he's someone who's got a looking glass and he's being able to look into. But it's always been interesting interacting with Abhishek also. Abhishek is someone we can all say has been a path breaker and a path creator with regards to our industry. And I used to say this to people time and again that, every new entrant teaches all the old members the tricks or the rules of the game. And Abhishek has done just that. He has scaled up his entire, presence in the real estate market, has had such a fantastic focus that he's been able to go all the way from the absolute upper end of this segment to the absolute, the other side where Palava continues to sell hundreds of apartments every month. And, he has the most exclusive upper end towers in Mumbai, having exclusivity as your forte. It takes a mindset that is dealing with only the best of the best. And he continues to seamlessly perform across this board. So I think it'll be very interesting. Deepak, you're back. You can take over from there. It'll be a very interesting session. And I urge everyone, just stay on because we all need to hold each other's hands, work with each other's minds. And, they say it is only if we all stay together will we win together in this times of ours. So Deepak, over to you.
Very sorry, guys. Some internet issue. I could not able to. Now my voice is audible.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me start again. I welcome you all, dear CREDAI MCHI members, on the 38th Annual General Meeting. I welcome our respected panelists, Abhishek Lodha, Mr. Vipul Roongta, Moderator Anuj Puri, on 38th Annual General Meeting. I welcome our Managing Committee member and Senior Past President to our AGM. As you are aware, the new Managing Committee took a charge on change of guard on 31st of August. I have shared my vision and mission and the key point agenda on our change of guard manifesto. The twin goal, which I'm expecting and which in my tenure we're looking at it, is reduction of cost and creation of demand. I believe these are the key factors to revive the real estate. We all know the amount of premium and charges which we pay to urban local body, which is the highest in Mumbai and MMR compared to any city across India. The same has been highlighted to the state of Maharashtra and government in last couple of months and the weeks. The government has appointed Dr. Kelkar's committee for revival of economy in the state of Maharashtra, whereas our doctor, along with that, Deepak Parekh sir, he's being a part of the committee member, and the revival of real estate point of view, he's been handling where the suggestions are given to the state of Maharashtra. We are happy to inform that we've been invited, our chamber had been invited by Honorable Chief Minister, where we presented our views. Whereas it was in the meeting with us, Honorable Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, Minister for Urban Development, and Secretary Housing, Secretary Urban Development, they have all agreed to the reduction of premium and charges. We expect some announcement to come from the government, maybe by end of this month or sometime early next month. We are expecting some announcement from the government, which will definitely support our industry. Second thing about the reduction of the stamp duty, which is a very positive note on the part of government of Maharashtra, and some minor correction in the ready reckoner rate. We expressed our views and thanked Revenue Minister for the reduction of stamp duty. Along with that, we even expressed our view about little disappointment in ready reckoner rate. Further, our chamber is continuously working on the various issues and agendas concerned with the industry. We have formed various tasks headed by senior members along with the interest of the members, along with the youth wing members as a working group headed by all various youth wing. The task and the committees of our working groups are various subject matter on the subject like SRA, Mahada 33.7, 33.5, society redevelopment, central government, western suburb, PMA and CIDCO. This working group is interacting with the task owners on the important subject, and we are working on various representation to be made to the urban local body, municipality and state government. The second point, the goal is that creation of demand. The creation of demand point of view, we are working on the various issues, whereas one of the things we are announcing the virtual property exhibition. Along with the virtual property exhibition, our PR team is also working on creation of the positive sentiment by various articles on the media and newspaper. We are also working with one other option, whereas to create the positive sentiment on Ghar Hai to Sahi Hai, the right investment at the right time and the right price. Friends, we all are aware the properties available to the end user is the best possible price in today's time, along with the lowest interest home loan rate, along with the lowest stamp duty. It is the right time to buy a property. We are communicating this message through various media to all our home users, end users, and we see that the post first or second week of August, there is a demand, interest has been created and interest is there. We could see at various sites on the weekends. The visits are happening. Potential customers are visiting with our developer site in Mumbai and MMR, and various location conversion also started happening. One positive change of reduction of stamp duty has really impacted, and industry point of view, we expect that further support from the government of Maharashtra. This is a good sign. With the support of government, with the appropriate ticket size, and overall amenities and developers point of view, with these things, there is we see that overall market gradually should come out from the pandemic, and we will see the inherent demand being restored in the possible time as how the market takes place. But the pandemic point of view, gradually things are opening up. Site visits are happening that we have been seeing at various sites of various developers, and this is a very positive part. Another important part which we've been working, our legal team has been working aggressively, is the most important stress point, is the extension of moratorium, waiver of interest charges during the lockdown, one-time restructuring. CREDAI MCHI has engaged the best possible advocate and counsel to represent us. The next hearing is on Monday, 28th. We have also represented our concern to the Reserve Bank of India earlier. Recently, our task owner, Baman Irani, has represented our views to expert committee appointed by Government of India. We have also made presentation to the Railway Ministry for increase in train, for the return of the migrant workers. We see gradually the migrant workers have started coming at the site. Some are at sites we see there are 50%, 40%, some sites are 60% workers have started coming. Cranes we see moving around the city. So this is a good positive sign that gradually along with the pandemic, we have been able to work together and try to revive our business. Managing committee is engaged with the various central and state government issue pain point to achieve the best for the members. I want to end my short speech on a positive note that our managing committee will not leave any stone unturned to start the revival of industry in MMR region, and we expect the efforts and the support of all of you in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak Bhai, President, MCHI. Like to call upon Nikunj Sangvi to introduce the August panel and then take the proceedings further. Nikunj, over to you.
Thank you very much, Preetham. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deepak Bhai, for initiating this working group committee and trusting the youth force to support the task owners on various issues. On behalf of Youth Wing, I promise that we will collaboratively work towards the goal set by you and managing committee. We also believe that this task entrusted on us will be a great learning to the youth members to carry out day-to-day business activities. Now, we welcome our panelists for the discussion on the topic demand generation and consumer sentiments, the way forward. Today, we have two distinguished panelists in this session. I introduce Shri Abhishek Lodha, who is the Managing Director of Lodha Group. The group is being transforming the skylines of Mumbai with one of the India's most iconic landmarks like the World Tower on delivering India's #1 smart city Palava. The group, which has projects across the sectors of ultra luxury to affordable segments, from residential to commercial, and from MMR to overseas. Being the developer and one of the fellow members, his insights will be very helpful for us. On the other hand, we have another expert panelist, Shri Vipul Roongta. He is a Managing Director and CEO of HDFC Capital Advisor Limited. He was one of the country's youngest fund managers and a part of a team that had mobilized 4,000 crore for HDFC Group Real Estate Fund. And to moderate this session, we introduce the icon of IPCs in India, who is none other than Shri Anuj Puri, who is the chairman of Anarock Property Consultants Private Limited. He has over 30 years of experience in Indian and global real estate markets and is trusted advisor to developers, occupiers, investors, government, as well as the bankers. He has partners with us at several locations in all the possibility manners which we can join hands. I request Shri Anuj Puri to take the charge and proceed the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikunj. A very good evening to all of you. I hope all are safe. Deepak Bhai, first, congratulations to you. You're fantastic. You've taken this leadership position. So heartiest congratulations on behalf of all of us here.
Thank you.
I do want to thank Preetham and Dhaval for inviting us, to do this panel. I mean, honestly, I'm really looking forward to this panel. So thank you very much for having us here. I mean, clearly, if we had done this panel in April, I think my voice would have been different. My smile may not have been there as much. The positive tone may not have been as much there. I have no idea what has transpired in these 6 months, but whatever transpired, I think for real estate, for residential, it has actually been positive. I see a lot more momentum, lot more positivity, energy, confidence within the Indian residential sector. I mean, something that I feel is that has started to happen in the minds of the consumer. I mean, many of the cities that you see are getting back to the pre-COVID levels of sales. I mean, certainly Bangalore has really delighted us with the way that it has progressed, and we will hear more about it from both Abhishek and Vipul. And equally, we are starting to see the inquiries in Bombay ramp up so rapidly. And honestly, in April, if you were to ask me about it, I would have thought is that at least a year, if not 18 months, are gone, and there's going to be nothing that is going to happen. By sort of July, I was thinking is maybe festival time, things will happen. I think it is even before the festival time that the positive news, particularly on the residential sector, has started to come in. I'm also grateful that both Abhishek and Vipul decided to join. And we kept it a very sort of a lean panel. I mean, these are two best brains that are available in the industry. Nikunj has done the introduction of these two people. I'm actually going to enjoy asking them all the difficult questions on behalf of all of us. The good thing is there's no press. So, we can have a lot more candid conversation with our teams here. So first, Abhishek, if I can come to you. I don't know what's happened in the mind of the consumer during this pandemic, and how home, in the context of this COVID, has changed its definition. I don't know whether you're seeing the same as well, where what it was before, COVID, and 2% return on rental, and I don't want to get into it, and suddenly, social security, more upgradation in the lifestyle and other things that I just feel is that the home as a full context within the COVID has transformed.
Anuj, very good to be with MCHI today. Thank you, Deepak Bhai, Preetham, and all the other members for inviting me to join. Yes, it's been a very interesting 6 months. I'll start with sharing some anecdotes, which I'm sure most of you know. But yesterday, the data came out that the US had its 14-year high in home sales in August. And 14-year high means in 2006, which was the peak of the global liquidity flow, was the last high. And so essentially, they were having their all-time high this August. UK housing prices are at an all-time high. China is having one of its strongest quarters for real estate housing sales. And I can also share with confidence over here that we as a company had our strongest August in 3 years this August. What is common? I think what is common, there is quite frankly, all governments have reacted differently to COVID. China has not really even had too much of COVID, though it had a little bit of COVID. But I think what's happened is that being locked inside our homes for 5-6 months and not having access to a lot of other things that we normally have access to has made us realize that whether our values and focus in life is correct or whether it needs to change. Earlier, we used to have a lot of escapes from the house. Going to a restaurant is an escape from the house. Traveling to another country or to another city is an escape from the house. Going even to the office is an escape from the house, so on and so forth. But having been at home now for 6 months, realize that this pandemic or COVID is not something which is going to go away in 2-3 months. I think we are all hopeful, optimistic people. But in spite of that, we now recognize the fact that, COVID is going to be with us for a few years and the threat of bioweapons is going to be with us for our lifetimes. And therefore, the overall fact that the home is a lot more important to me has started coming into the minds of a large number of people. And because they are saying that home is important to me, they are also questioning that when I spend money on travel or restaurants or etc., that is all a spend. The money is gone. Whereas if I buy the home, that is a saving, because that money I can get back with some return. Maybe it is 2%, maybe it is 7%, that time will tell, but I will get it back with some return after a few years. So it is the only product which I enjoy, I consume, and yet it appreciates. I can buy a nice car, but 3 years later, it is worth 30% of what I bought it for. I can buy equities. It may go up by 30% in 3 years, but I can't enjoy it. Home is the only thing which I can enjoy and it will give me a financial return. And I think that's what's changed. I think people's context of what is important in life has changed. And I think it's a unique situation where the home, because I think the financial services industry over the last 7-8 years has continuously put into the minds of people ki ghar mein paisa mat dalo, financial services mein dalo. Because they are a clear competitor to real estate, right? 75% of wealth in India is still in real estate. So if the cash flow goes to financial services and not to real estate, they are better off. So they have continuously put this argument of a slightly higher return without taking into account the fact that real estate produces better returns over the long term. More importantly, real estate is not just a return producer, but also a consumption item. And I think, like Deepak Bhai mentioned, I think it is time for the real estate industry to take advantage of the shift in the mindset and continuously feed into the minds of people. Don't fight the battle of yield. Fight the battle of what is important to you in life. And hopefully that should have a long-term beneficial impact in sales for all of us going forward.
And Abhishek, just continuing with that thought process, have you started to see that within your business as well? Particularly you are, I mean, if we keep Palava a little bit on the side, I mean, you are absolutely in the luxury segment. Are you starting to see, demand come back in that segment?
So Anuj, I think we've seen that, yes, during the early days of the lockdown, the first 3 months, the sales were largely in the mid-income and affordable segments. That's about 55-60% of our sales. We have Palava, we have a few other projects in Thane and Mira Road and so on. So that was 55-60% of sales. However, starting from July onwards, we have started seeing that sales in the 5 crore plus segment has also picked up meaningfully. Wow. And obviously, this is very much focused towards ready product. I don't think that we are seeing huge amount of sale of under construction 5 crore plus. But when you see ready product, and we are lucky we have about 10-11,000 crores of OC ready unsold inventory. So we've seen that across the board, we've seen sales happening. Last month in August, we sold our cheapest home we sold was 27 lakhs. The most expensive we sold was 40 crores. So sales are happening across the board. And I think the motivation is the same. Home is important to me. I want to give my family a better home. Where possible, I want to give them a home which is, having some open space inside the home, a balcony or a terrace. If I can afford to buy land, I will buy land. If I can't afford to buy land, at least I should have lots of open space outside. All these factors, I think, are coming out in people's minds.
Super. Vipul, I'm going to come to you. You've made tons of investments, not only with the developers who are on the screen, but even in other cities. Can you throw some light on the trends that you're seeing from the customers? What is it that they are sort of looking for? What is it that they are going for? And what are the kind of reports that you're getting in from the investee companies?
Okay. First of all, thanks to Deepak Bhai and MCHI for calling me. I think it's nice to be in a group of people where you can recognize most of the faces.
Yes, that's right.
So thanks for that. I don't know if I'm the right guy to give you those perspectives because some of the things used in the introduction were slightly, I think, overdone, but that's fine. See, I personally am a big, that's what I do also now as part of my role in the latest role that I'm doing in HDFC, which is doing supply side financing for essentially focused on mid and low income housing. All I can say is that 3 years back when we had set up this fund, I remember I used to have a sales booklet. And I will not take names, but I have gone to a lot of people who are there on the panelist side here and actually pitched that why you should go and invest in affordable housing or, affordable housing is a much abused word in India. Affordable housing does not mean a 20 lakh rupee home. A 3 crore home in heart of Bombay can also be as affordable as, probably more affordable than a 20 lakh home in the middle of nowhere. So unfortunately, it's abuse thing, keeping in mind the various geography, a very different geography in India. But from then to now, things have moved a lot. If I can take, if you can take just hoardings and the conferences that Anuj has moderated as an indicator of what has happened. So in 2008, if Anuj, after the GFS, what was it called? The Global Financial
Crisis.
GFC. If after GFC, Anuj, the next 10 conferences that Anuj moderated were on affordable housing. If I can.
That's right.
And then you moved, and all the hoardings that used to be there before GFC were basically more about not to put anything else, but to sell dreams and the dress component of the models on the hoardings were getting lesser and lesser, if I can say that, and it was more about aspirational selling and selling what is high price stuff, because the essential buyer was the person who was searching for value, as Abhishek pointed out, or appreciation. That has changed today. So obviously 7-8 years, Anuj then focused on luxury in all his conferences. All conferences are more about everything else, starting from the residential came aside, and then came commercial, then came rent model, and rental moved from commercial to residential to student housing to logistics. A lot of them are still in favor. And I think generally, whenever there is a crisis, because 60 to 70% of supply and suppliers are in that mid and low income segment, and traditionally, because of lack of proper efficiency, they have not made money, it goes out of sync. So now again, another crisis came, and here we are discussing the efficacy. But the big difference today, coming to your question, Anuj, the big difference today versus a string of affordable housing developments that all lost money in 2008 to 2010 period is that today, first of all, I think without being anything, but I think there is a serious impetus that has come from the government, both at the central government and the state government. So that has helped. B, I think the investor is pretty much, at least from a sentiment perspective, while he's coming back, I totally agree that the investor is coming back. Everybody looks at house as a reservoir for value rather than just a consumption item. But people are saying, listen, I forget everything else. I want to buy my house. Case in point, I work out of Gurgaon. Let me tell you, and if I can comment for North, which is the so-called relatively infamous part of the Indian real estate sector, the demand for semi-ready and ready units, I have not seen in the last 7 to 8 years.
Wow.
Tremendous amount of demand. If I have a ready unit, I will have at least 3 quotes in the last 3 months. And as compared to say a year, 2 years before that, I would probably get 1 quote in 6 months. That's the kind of stuff that is happening. Obviously, we have to keep in mind that it is also because the suppliers are shrinking. Today, the number of people that I can bank on as a buyer is shrinking. So in our portfolio across 26 odd projects that we have invested, in 17 projects, we are doing sales which are higher than pre-COVID, which are same or higher than pre-COVID.
Fantastic, Vipul. Wow.
And it's not that all of them are selling. Some are selling significantly lower. Some are not selling at all. That is also happening, but that thing is changing totally. And the factors that are coming in is relatively ready or financial closure in place, top-notch developer of that micro region, under construction is selling there. I will not get into the pricing because now pricing has become more political in nature in terms of everything. But I must say that we have sold stock. We have sold something like 4,200 odd units in a span of 4 months, whereas the comparable period last year or the preceding 4 months, it was about 3,500 odd units. There have been obviously more launches, and these have been done at about 3% higher price than the previous. Not because they have been discounted 10, 15, 20, 40%, whatever is the expectation. So clearly, if you are a good developer and you are pricing it right in terms of unit price and it's a good location, there is no problem of sales.
This is a great segue for me to ask a little tricky question to Abhishek. Vipul, thank you very much. Abhishek, one of the things that we've seen in the past is that, bring down the price and, the sales momentum, picks up. You've been quite against that theory for the last 7 years, I have seen and you've believed is that price growth actually increase demand. It's quite interesting the way that you run your business, that you've continued to demonstrate price growth, and we've seen, you're number one in sales in India. This is a closed room. There are no press in it. Love to know, what is this thought? Price growth means increase in demand.
So Anuj, I believe that real estate is, as I mentioned earlier, both a consumption item and an investment item. When prices are falling, it's very unlikely that any of us want to buy anything. Everybody, quote unquote, wants for the price to settle down, which is also known as the bottom. That applies to equities, that applies to real estate, in my view. It applies to anything which is a form of investment. If the gold price was to fall from 50,000 to 40,000 tomorrow, 80% of us will say, let's wait for 35,000. There will be 20% who says, it has fallen enough, let me buy. And I think that is the nature of behavior which is in the human mind, that when something is falling in value, it is very difficult for you to go out and put your money because it might fall more tomorrow and you will take an immediate mark-to-market loss. The fact of the matter is that if you look at global economies, they do everything possible to keep their housing prices moving upwards. Why is that? Because a huge portion of middle class wealth, and in India that number is total wealth ka 75% is in housing. A huge portion of middle class wealth comes from the growth in housing values. If housing values don't grow as they have not grown in India over the last 6-7 years, you see that consumption starts becoming slower. And you've also seen that happen in India. Because when a person is sure about his future prospects, which comes from his store of savings or wealth, then he can keep consuming his current income. India has kind of fallen into this trap of saying that if housing prices go down, it's good for the country. We've seen that happen for 7 years. If anybody believes we've had a good 7 years, I would like to have a discussion with that person. But other than that, I believe we've sort of, mentally tuned into the wrong frequency. You can offer value. You can certainly offer value, and you can offer value like Vipul mentioned. It's the value of the unit, which is important. So you can have tighter units. You can start off a new phase, or you can start off a new project at a competitive price from others in the area. Obviously, you have to do that in order to get a start if you are lagging behind them in terms of the starting point of your project, which is okay. You can do that. But eventually what consumers want to get confidence in is that whatever price I buy on, I am not going to be underwater. If we can demonstrate as an industry, as a corporate or as an industry, that the prices of this product are set right at the start and therefore continuously keep going up as time passes, because as time passes, you're closer to delivery, risk is being reduced, so logically price should be higher. And if you can demonstrate that, then you not only produce a return, which is in addition to the rental return. And so this whole idea that, 2% rental, kya karke lenge, let us rent, goes out of the picture. But more importantly, anybody who sees housing continuously appreciate, and we've seen many cycles of that in Bombay. When housing prices are going up, demand goes up. Everybody in this room who's, older to me would have seen more than one cycle. I saw one of those cycles, which is in the 2003 to 2009, 2010 period. Prices move upwards, demand moves upwards. And I think we have to recognize that is true and will remain true. We have a golden moment now in the change in the assessment of what a house is in terms of importance to a person and his family. And if we can, as developers, and I'm sure everybody can't do it, people will have different compulsions. But if we can at least reflect on this, that moving prices down is not only bad for us, it is bad for our consumers, it is bad for our lenders. It's bad for everybody. Because our people who buy from us before and then they see prices fall down, they lose faith in us. Then they stop slowing down payments. Our lenders start worrying about their cover. It doesn't really help anybody. So you please start the price right at the start, at the launch, and then make sure that you're moving prices up in terms of inflation. The second part of this theory, of course, is moderate supply. If we keep flooding the market with supply, why does the US have such high housing sales year after year? Because each year, the US has a demand of 950,000 homes, give or take 50,000, because of new household formation, etc. And they build between 900 and 925,000 homes. They always keep a little demand unmet. And ultimately, it leads to higher profitability. The US housing market is a great profit engine. I'll give you our own example. We did a project at Walkeshwar. Now, that's the highest price land in the country. We had the option of doing FSI 3 or FSI 4. We did FSI 3. We finished the project in 21 months in spite of COVID. And we've taken home, on a sales of 900 crores, we've taken home 600 crores.
Wow.
Now, I could have extended that period by a year and a half. All my money would have come later in the day because those sales are happening at 25, 75, top end of the market. You have to link payment to delivery. But more importantly, I'm telling everybody that you have more choices to make, and therefore you can delay your choice and you can pay a lower price. So I spend more building it because my building is more complex. I have to make more payments to the BMC. I have to build a big basement, more parking, bigger structure. And the guy has to pay lesser for it. It doesn't add up. If we can kind of strike the right balance, FSI was important in Mumbai when FSI was 1.33. Now FSI is essentially 5. And when FSI is 5, it cannot be the binding factor. We have to look at what is the right balance of time to complete and how much can we generate in terms of profitability, keep supply a little less than demand, and if can, I'm sure we can grow prices and therefore have a golden era of real estate, again come back to Mumbai, if not to other parts of the country.
I'm absolutely delighted that MCHI was able to bring you on. Abhishek, in that sort of 3 minutes, the points that you have mentioned are like super points. Clearly the first one that you're saying is that increased pricing brings in a little bit more comfort to the consumer. Second is that this FSI game has taken many of us down. Let's not be greedy, let's be more disciplined. on that. And the third is, make sure that the overall demand and supply, your supply is slightly lower than demand. I'm just going to come back on that particular point, but I want to first go to Vipul. Vipul, I'm not going to touch the pricing part, but I mean, one of the questions that everyone on the screen really wants to know is, where's the next source of funding going to come in? If we have to continue with all that development, what are the next sources of funding? Because it's becoming very difficult from the existing lenders to continue securing monies, and certainly for the new projects, it's becoming even more difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would definitely not want to be in the position of a typical developer, because I think the funding scenario has been pathetic, to say the least, over the last couple of years. And it's not only last 6 months. I think it was worse probably before that. And obviously, we all know the reasons. So without getting into all those things, going forward, there are two kinds of funding that are required. One is obviously what I need to lock in a particular parcel of land or buy the parcel of land. But I think what is required immediately is money, because existing lenders, existing sanction lines are not getting disbursed, at least in tons of cases that we are seeing. We are seeing portfolios and portfolios kind of stuff, because we are actively investing right now. We just announced something which came in the newspaper also about an ARC being done, and we're just closing up fund about $1 billion. So to the second part, obviously there are all these, real estate, residential real estate is in a so-called distress zone. Anuj, you yourself have been I'm sure part of a lot of these so-called vulture funds which are trying to do last mile financing at 20-25%, all those kind of returns, which are not sustainable. These things, I think those kind of returns, if I'm not making as a developer those kind of returns, how will I give those kind of things? Unless it is required for maybe 5 or 10% of the total cap structure. That is fine. But I think one way where funding can come very easily, especially in that segment, is thinking about your product differently. And I'll give an example. In about 4 of our existing investee developers, not projects, where their general FSI consumption was about 1.752, they have been converted into slotted and G+1 kind of structures.
Interesting.
Because of this entire thing of investors coming into real estate, I think the biggest beneficiary has been because a build structure obviously depreciates. It's the land inside the build structure that depreciates. It is so a lot of plotting, ground +3, ground +4 kind of structures are coming, which are probably not utilizing FSI fully as was required, but it is selling at a significantly faster pace. So my pace of getting collections and everything is taking care of funding. So obviously accelerated sales by reimagining my product is working very well. I think it is the game, because the only way we can raise equity is either through accelerated sales. I think private equity at project level, difficult. Even if it comes, it will come with such high expectations that it may make sense only in very, very few cases. First of all, that particular supply itself is very small. I think a second very credible category which will come up, and I know a lot of my friends here have tried tapping the capital markets, but trust me, if at all there was a good time to tap the capital markets, notwithstanding what is happening and the yo-yo movement and so on and so forth, it is now. You can, because today I personally feel that getting money from the public markets is definitely cheaper than getting money from the private equity market. And I'm talking equity. I'm not talking all these structured debts and preferred debts and preferred equity and all those things.
Abhishek, words of advice?
I will be very surprised if we don't see at least 6 to 7 developers hitting the public markets in the next couple of years. I am actively involved with 3 of them, so I can talk about that. I'm sure there are at least 4 or 5 others who are looking at doing this. And my request to everybody is that whoever is looking at tapping, don't look at conglomerate listings. because that has its own complications. Look at a flavor, if it means logistics, if it means commercial, if it means maybe affordable housing for all I care. There is a huge market side for this kind of thing. Explore doing that. It is something which is significantly easier for a lot of people who have kind of burned their hands in the private equity real estate play. A third option, which in fact we just did this 2 weeks back, where we arranged about 180 odd crores. I'm giving only examples that we have done in the last 3 months and actively involved with, where a developer is buying land in South about 1 million square feet of FSI from another developer, and he has actually set up a farm where he has invited individuals to come in and pool in money, and he has raised 180 crores by getting money from 15 people, and they're coming in at cost, and it is basically pre-sales being done at a particular price, or land being sold at a particular cost. It can be structured in a way that it stays out of RERA and all those aspects. Very simple and transparent. That the person is entitled to X amount of land at the end of the day at a certain cost. It works well. It is something. There is enough appetite for asset. I think the appetite for equity and structured debt and everything, especially in the local HNI market, is low. But I am seeing a lot of appetite, even in the local HNI market, about assets, and especially if it's plots or ready asset, it's kind of playing out. So these obviously things are there, and funds will come.
No, this is very helpful, Vipul. All the 3 points. I'm going to come back to you on the first point, which is what you said is the high cost debt. And when I come back to when I come back to you, it is largely going to be is that if your existing lender is not giving you money to complete the project, what do? But sorry,
we go to Swami. They're giving.
I'm not sure everybody qualifies for Swami, and that's where I think that's where we're facing real problem coming in. But Abhishek, two questions to you, and there are a couple of questions that have come up on the chat as well. But before I get into the chat, you said is moderation of supply. How do you bring in that discipline on moderation of supply? Abhishek, you gave a beautiful example of the US 975,000 or 950, and they go up to 925,000 every year as new homes. So, that's a great discipline. How do you bring that discipline here?
Anuj, we have to remember that we are in this business for what? If we are in this business to make money for, ourselves, our families, or our equity holders, then the discipline is simple enough to bring in. If we are in the business to believe that, just by doing turnover, you will become, or not even turnover is secondary, just by building a lot, you will create a lot of profit that can only happen on Excel sheets. The reality of life is that over the last 5-7 years, whoever has ended up building huge amounts of supply without having financial closure has ended up earning a lot for its lenders, for the lack of a better term, maybe investors, but lenders for that term, and not for themselves, and created huge amounts of stress, and this has been going on since 2007, 2008. It's been 10-12 years now. हम एक के बाद एक कोई ना कोई नई घोड़े के ऊपर बैठ जाते हैं ये सोच के कि eventually कुछ solution निकलेगा. It's stupidity. It's a simple, beautiful business, which is the reason why so many smart people got into it. You buy the land, as you are building the product, the customer pays you. Why does he do that? Because there is a short supply. Otherwise, he will wait till completion, then he will buy if it is an oversupply. You only make money if he pays you while it is under construction. Because the cost of money in this country is so high, and it is so mispriced, especially over the last 3-4 years, because inflation is low and cost of borrowing is high, that if you have to keep building, keep pouring money, either your money or anybody's borrowed money, but any borrowed money is your money only. Please remember that, because you have to pay it back.
That's right.
And therefore, why build so much that you have to borrow to build it? We've all made that mistake. We have also made that mistake. But last year we paid down 3,000 crores of debt. This year we'll pay down, in spite of the pandemic, some large significant amount. And the point for us is fairly simple. You can grow if you complete your projects. You can grow by ensuring that your supply is in areas where there is a short supply. And I think if all of us start thinking about it, that my job is to sleep peacefully at night and keep my family happy and spend reasonable time with them, rather than calling up Anuj on Sunday ki bhaiya kal paisa chahiye. So then if you don't want to do that, then let's build as much as we are capable of building, rather than in the hope that somebody else was giving us money. As soon as we start saying that this is what we are capable of building, हमारी equity इतनी है, हम customer और हमारे known sources से इतना पैसा ला सकते हैं, फिर if you want to bring in debt to juice up your returns, it's okay. But other than that, use your money and your known sources of sales and money, and automatically supply will come down.
Very good point. Very, very good point, Abhishek. I can see a lot of guys nodding. Vipul, please.
I would like to just add to one thing. A lot of promoters, just to add to what Abhishek is saying, a lot of promoters don't understand that debt, ultimately, there comes a time where debt actually starts destroying value. I will take debt if I am able to make more money than what I have to pay back.
Correct.
My cost of debt is this thing. I know there's tons and tons which are caught in this debt trap. So they're effectively working for their lenders. And at some point of time, you have to cut it. That plan can be done, and there is no single answer to this question. Obviously, everybody understands I want to deleverage myself. But it is times like these when there is a so-called crisis, and this is MCHI, so this is more Maharashtra developers. Please see Pan India. There is a spate of equity, because you talked about that, Anuj, spate of equity which is being raised in various ways, either by cutting off some part of your business, by selling that off, or cutting off some parcels of land, or just deleveraging to informal investors. There are multiple ways by which money is being raised, and it is not necessary that you make profit on every project, every inch of land or project that you're selling. Sometimes if it is not working like it works in a public equity market, if I am making a loss on one script, then I need to know when to cut my loss. Unfortunately, at least most of the people in real estate say, जमीन में तो कभी नुकसान हो ही नहीं सकता. तो जब तक मैं उसके अंदर डालता जाऊंगा, जब तक उसके अंदर profit नहीं आएगा, and you realize that you have got yourself into a bigger mess later. My request is that if you can, there is stuff available. There are all kinds of funds. There are developers whose borrowing costs are in now mid to, or say, high single digits. And I'm not referring to only one guy. I'm referring, there are at least 6-7 of them who are having access to money, who are ready to fold into things. There are multiple ways in which that can be folded into and done. So that is what I would say is the right thing to do.
Vipul, I know we're going to run out of time. So just a couple of questions, Vipul, to you. One is just going back on to what you had said is that high cost debt. I mean, it's a genuine question that I'm asking. I mean, it's a problem that all of us on the screen are facing, that, your existing lender, for whatever reason, maybe his problem, maybe, he doesn't like the project, but, you're sort of half pregnant now. I mean, what do you do? In that is, so you have to go to that high cost, or is there any other solution? And I agree with you, Vipul, that nobody wants to go to that high cost because there aren't those many margins left in the business. But what's the solution then?
So there's no single answer, but let me give you 2-3 examples of how it is. So suppose, so a lot of people are actually just, if I was making 5 towers, a lot of people have actually started selling 5 towers simultaneously, sold 40%. So in a lot of cases, they're saying, okay, fine, go back, renegotiate, shift the people from 4th and 5th tower to the first 3, and say that let me convert 1 tower at least. because ultimately there is only that much money that is available. As part of HDFC, there's only that much money that can be given. There are only that many lenders. The total number of lenders in the market have shrunk, and everybody is having their own set of risk perceptions that have come up. And it's not without reason. Some may be right, some may be wrong. We'll not get into that. But so reproductive, I'm telling you, the product change in product, whether it is this thing, whether it is plotting, whether it is something else. You can carve out retail areas, you carve out commercial areas which are being sold. There are multiple ways in which it can be done. And it is being done. And if you're stuck, you are stuck. There is nothing but actually just maybe getting some money on an informal basis by selling some cheap flats.
My last question to you, Vipul. You've used this statement, for the developers that let us not be too emotionally involved, either in the product or what has got us here may not necessarily take us there. Can you just elaborate on that?
See, Anuj, क्या होता है? We always say, and I think Abhishek referred to it, but खुद मरे बिना आप स्वर्ग नहीं जा सकते. Somebody else cannot die for you to go to heaven. You have to die yourself. And if you have to die yourself, that means you have to work yourself. What is happening is that a lot of people face to see the realities. They say, this is the way I worked. This is the way I have made whatever I've made so far. Now, I think there was that book also, what has worked for you for last 20 years may not necessarily work for you next 20 years. Forget next 20 years, next 5 years is not going to work. And change is the play. I'm not saying that, it's the developers who are at fault or they are not doing any change or something on that sort. But there is obviously a whole churn that is happening. Tremendous amount of good work that is being done at the ground level, both in terms of changing the strategy and product. But I think still a lot of people, and it applies to us also, we may get too emotionally involved with a particular investment strategy. As a fund manager, I may say, no, this is the way to go. So if today I'm saying affordable housing, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 affordable housing projects in 2008 lost money. So it is a good project to have a conference or a good topic to have a conference, very bad for business. For all we know, maybe if it is not executed well, it is actually a pathetic strategy because there's complete inelasticity of sales price. The limited point is that we cannot be over emotional about the strategy, or the particular product that we are doing. We have to be flexible. And that applies to probably everybody, whether it's a developer or a financer or anybody.
Very well said. Very well said. Final question, Abhishek, to you. Where do you see the market? I think there are two questions come in here. Where do you see the market in a couple of years from today? And then, Abhishek, is there a change in the preference of the buyer? And the question is it sort of weekend homes? We heard from Vipul that maybe plotted development, maybe low rise is what is selling. So the question is, particularly for MMR, is it weekend homes, villas that are going to become very popular? I know you are in your Pune house today, Abhishek. And the second one is, really, where do you see this market in sort of 2-3 years from today?
So Anuj, on the first question, I think independence is going to be more valued because of the concerns around threats, which are invisible threats. So people who can afford land want their land. People who can't afford the land in the city would want to see if they can buy something on the outskirts. So at least for some time they can go out. Maybe it's weekends, maybe it's longer. Who knows how many days a week you are actually going to be working from the office versus working from home. And equally, I think even if it's not independent completely, then people want lower density. So people want to, like Vipul was saying, ground +1, ground +3, whatever, lesser density. So you have less risk because you're interacting with a lesser number of families. More things are in your control. And generally, people want to be in developments which are two things. One, more open space, whether inside or outside in the flat, outside the unit. And second, they want it to be very, very assured of a completion. So either it has to be ready or it has to be from a developer who they have virtually no concern about readiness. So I would summarize that second homes will do well, landed properties will do well, but it's not a be all end all. You build a landed property, which is 4.5 hours to get from Mumbai, people are not going to get there. So everything has a place and everything has a location as is most important real estate. But generally, yes, subject to location, landed and second homes are likely to do better, just given the impact on the minds of people. Where will the market be in 2 years' time? I think that question should be put to you. But my sense is it's in our hands. I think all the headwinds have converted to tailwinds. There is a question. There is the lowest and there is a very low cost of borrowing money for real estate. You can leverage 7 times. There is no other asset class where you can get that rate of borrowing for that level of leverage. You put in 10 or 15 and you get 85 or 90 from a third party to buy your house. And you get it at 6.97%. So it's beautiful leverage. And that rate will keep going down because the cost of money in India has to keep going down. Global mortgage rates are more like 1.5 to 3%. The fact is that consumer has become more loving towards the house. And I'm using the word loving carefully because if you are in love with something, then the value is not the financial return only. So consumers have become more loving towards the house. It's in our hands whether we can grow that, whether Deepak Bhai and his team can educate consumers more about these things and make the love affairs last longer and not be a fleeting affair. But the last and most important thing is how we behave. Are we good to our consumers when it comes to pricing, in the sense that do we not fool some set of our consumers by selling expensive and then lowering prices? So can we keep some pricing discipline? And in order to keep pricing discipline, can we have supply discipline? If we have supply discipline, we'll have 2 years later, we'll all be in a good place. If we don't have supply discipline, till such time that a supply discipline is enforced, maybe it will be enforced by lenders, maybe it will be enforced by some other force, the industry can't be profitable. And if it's not profitable, we can't be in a great place.
Thank you very much, Abhishek. Deepak Bhai, you have been fantastic, moderating this panel right from, what Vipul said is that there's a lot of good work that you guys have done, Deepak Bhai. I mean, certainly that stamp duty, fantastic. And, hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll hear more announcements. So, compliments to the full team that you guys do a great job. I'll just summarize in 60 seconds. I felt, 8 or 10 points which were pertinent. One is that this is not a FSI game. It used to be a FSI game in MMR. I think it has moved away. I think Vipul referred to that this is not, I have to make money out of land. I think we have to move away from that pretext. Second is Abhishek's viewpoint on pricing versus demand. I mean, there's absolute merit in what he said is that in his view, the confidence of the home buyer only comes in if they see that the asset is continuing to appreciate. Third, Vipul's point that there is ways of bringing in equity. I think it's a very out-of-box thinking. What Vipul has said is, whether it's a change in the product that you do, or many of you can hit the IPO markets to be able to raise equity. I think traditional equity may find it difficult today in this market to come in. Really, Abhishek has beleaguered the point on the supply, saying is that unless there is a discipline on this, we will continue to have a problem and pressure that will come in from the consumers on the pricing, and then conversely it goes down. And then clearly the trends have changed. We heard the views of the second homes and independent, and perhaps a little bit more to have control in your own hands. And lastly, what Abhishek said is, that I think our future is in our hand. And before I pass it on, I saw my friend Bowman on the screen, and I was thinking is, ये MCHI को अगर 200 करोड़ करना है, एक blockbuster बनाते हैं Bowman Irani के साथ, and we will collect 200 crores with Bowman's bush and the beard that he has got in that is. But thank you very much, and over back to you, Deepak Bhai.
Thank you, Anuj. Really a very informative session. Really, everybody members' point of view, very informative knowledge point of view. Really appreciate with everyone, with Vipul and even Abhishek. Really enjoyed the session. I think let's continue with the things, Pritam.
Yeah. Thank you, Deepak Bhai. Thank you, Anuj. But before we open the floor for some questions from our audience, which may have come via the question and the chat box, one question for you, Anuj, is we were with the CM a while ago, and we asked him that with all the infrastructure that is coming into Mumbai, with all the 11 lines of metro, so many freeways, what if people who are were looking for homes in Mumbai, leave Mumbai for a Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Gurgaon, Chennai? What has happened to Mumbai? So you're best suited to answer this question from a pan-India perspective. Are consumers looking at Mumbai as one of the only options while there are other options they're evaluating, or they are still in love with Mumbai?
So Preetham, difficult question. I think, traditionally to disrupt cities is very difficult. And Mumbai as a city has been very successful. So traditionally to disrupt it would be very difficult unless we are unable to cope up with the requirements of the consumer. One of the requirements, as you rightly said, is infrastructure. I mean, the second requirement is the health safety, which we have disrupted during this pandemic. Does it have a counter effect over a period of time where corporates decide that this may not be really a safe city, where some of the US corporates who are now looking to enter India may decide that Bombay hasn't really behaved that well. Some of the other cities have behaved that well. And thirdly is really whether the workforce, qualified workforce, is available in that city, and that is what attracts most of the global destinations. If you look at New York or Tokyo or Hong Kong or London, it's the cosmopolitan, it's a great quality infrastructure, which does bring in health, safety, security as well, and then ability to be able to get a very skilled workforce. I think Bombay has all that. It has a heart, it has a soul, it has the ability to be able to provide all that is required. I think is what we should not do is disrupt it too much, and clearly this pandemic has disrupted it. I think there will have to be things that we will have to do to be able to mend the image of Mumbai as we come out of this pandemic. Clearly infrastructure is a big tick mark towards that attracts the corporate world, the skilled labor, to be able to come and migrate into the city.
Perfect. So basically, what we used to be worried about is if you're seeing 5 million, 4 million square foot being built in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, say maybe in the outskirts of Delhi, in NCR. Obviously, we are assuming that so much of workforce is going to migrate from some part of the country into these offices, and thereby there will be residential requirements around these commercial places. So you're clearly saying that Mumbai will still have its charm.
So real estate is a very small component of a decision making, Preetham. In a corporate, if you were to look at it, the cost of real estate is 14th item. 14th item. There are 13 items above that. Many a times as developers, we get into this is that real estate is cheap and hence the corporate is going. It is the 14th item on the corporate decision making. In that is, it's like a tail wagging a dog.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much for that. Do we have any other questions which have come up on the chat box? Any other panelists or anyone in the chat in the group here would like to ask questions? Okay, I'm just checking the chat box. If there are no other questions, then I'll request Samyak to take over. Samyak Shah.
Thank you, Preetham. Thank you all the panelists, Shri Abhishek Lodha ji, Shri Vipul Roongta ji, and Anuj Puri ji. It's been, someone initially had said we were sitting with path breakers, and some of the ideas which have come out have really been path breaking. And we all have had lots to learn from this and apply to our businesses given the uncertain and challenging business environment. Now I would like to call our President-elect, Mr. Baman Irani, to come to give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Baman, sir.
Hey guys, thank you. First of all, Anuj, I must say we undermine the person who asked the questions. Without you, we wouldn't have had the answers that, you know, Abhishek and Vipul brought to the fore. The way you put your questions, I've seen this time and again, and I've begun to appreciate that a lot more. So fantastic session, very well done. Vipul, you and I are going to have a chat separately, but yeah, great advice. Like I said earlier, always sage advice. You know, you're always very balanced. Abhishek, you always keep hitting it out of the park, bro. You're just superb. The way you went around putting it into perspective. But I didn't understand it's in our own hands. Are you propagating PM Modi's Atmanirbharta for all of us, which is what I took away at the end. But what I'd like to tell all the audience, and I see there's 160 of us who were there sometime. You know, it's very important to understand it's not us versus each other. It's actually us versus them. It's us versus gold. It's us versus mutual funds. It's us versus everything. And, you know, this comes from the fact that when Coke and Pepsi were competing in India, I believe there was this story that they actually got together and said, you know, our competition is not you and me. Our competition is actually the limbu pani, it is the nariyal pani, it is the Indian chai, and that is the kind of takeaway I would say that we need to have with each other. I must say the chamber with Nayan at the helm at you know, for the last 2 years has really moved heaven and earth to work towards developers you know, issues getting resolved. You're seeing a lot of what's happening right now is the effort done earlier. I would say that Deepak has been putting in a very structured approach. He has a 9:30 call every morning with the secretary, with the treasurer. I try to join in sometimes. And we are working day and night. I would reach out to each and every one of you to, you know, show your appreciation by actually taking up issues that matter to you. We are open. We want your support. We want you to put in hours, because one strength that we all have is the unity that we have created through CREDAI MCHI. I urge each and every one of my developer fraternity friends, believe me, it's not you versus me. It is us versus every other asset class there is. And like Abhishek put it, you know, this is both an consumption and investment item. We need to work together. We need to hold each other's hands. We need to share our minds. Abhishek, thank you for speaking out so, you know, candidly and openly. Vipul, thank you very much for giving us, you know, the perspective as to what all we need to do. Of course, it'll take one more session because there'll be more pointed questions next time. And Anuj, keep shining, bro. Keep guiding. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Excellent session.
Thank you, Raji bhai.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, President, Secretary.
Thank
you, President. Deepak, great work.
Thank you all. Hi, Dharmesh.
Pritam, great work, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, President. Well done.
Thank you.
You came back quickly.
There was some issue. I don't know. Somehow it never happened in my office, but it happened today.
No problem.
Presidency पे दीपक ये तो नया होते रहेगा. Don't worry.
Disruption is a part of our life.
Good. Great work, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Jayesh. Bye.
Bye. See you guys.
Bye.
Vimal bhai, thank you for joining.
Thanks, Vimal bhai. Thanks, Sandeep. Shailesh.
Thank you, Pritam. Thank you, Deepak bhai. Great session.
Thank you.